I'm Kelsey Goldsmith for the Badger Herald. To kick off Human Rights Awareness Week, an interdisciplinary council met at Memorial Union to discuss immigration and human rights. They also talked about the future of immigration and what immigrants face when they come to the United States.
This event tonight marks the beginning of Human Rights Week here in Madison.
My documentaries started in 1994 through 2005. It was a series of documentaries about Mexican immigration in the Midwest, a history of the culture, and a history of the language we use in the immigration debate. So I worked with Wisconsin Public Television and developed them over a 10-year period, about every show getting released about every 3 years. So the first show is about my own family's experiences and my perceptions. Second story talks about Mexican multiculturalism, which we don't really think about. So it talks about the Indian issue, Indian versus European issue, which is major in the immigration debate. So it talks about conquest and how it relates to how, especially Chicano feminists, write about their view of the world. And the third one is about the current immigration debate and the language we use, playing with language and seeing how it applies in real life.
If you can think that people come into this country not because they want to, but because they have to in order to survive. To leave families, to leave your children, your wife, not because you want to come and live in this country, but because you want to be able to afford and provide for your family back in your own country.
Well, I'm Vice President of Lucha, which is Latinos Unidos for Advancement and Change.
Well, the system, as everybody knows, is broken. The system is still locked in this idea that we kind of pick and choose when we're going to be a nation and when we want to be borderless. And if you look at most industries today, their claim to fame is that they're borderless. If you look at their PR websites, you look at their PR material, they're always talking about, we're crossing this border, we're doing this. It's a language that we use talking about success. But somehow success, when we want to talk about success as a nation, we start thinking about borders being very closed. So as a nation, we have to start rethinking and retraining, and I think that younger generations are certainly much more aware because of their growing up with cyberspace. But there's still a lot of re-education to do, kind of almost making it mandatory to be multilingual like the rest of the world is. It's not going to make you any less American.
I think we really need to tear down immigration law completely and rebuild it again to suit the times. What Congress has done is just made a mess of immigration, building up on immigration laws that have been passed over the years that wasn't working, and they tried to fix it, but it became even more broke. I think we really need to reanalyze and rebuild the system so that it allows not just for protections of human abuses, but that provides individuals with the necessary rights, protections under the laws in this country. I mean, one of the things that the 14th Amendment says that, people do have due process rights. And I think, that it in the law and even the Constitution doesn't say that, those rights end when you're an undocumented immigrant. It says, all individuals have rights.
If somebody's recruiting, it means that somebody's using that person's services, which means you and I are using the services. So we have to be part of that accountability circle. Until we're willing to not be part of that accountability circle, and people want to make a stand and say, I'm not going to accept any services, I'm not going to work, frequent any businesses, I'm going to make a stand, I'm going to join a group, organization.
Well, the very first step, I think, is to really, stop all deportations. I think we need to start looking at who do we have in this country here and give them the right. Perhaps, amnesty is one of those issues that certainly should be considered, but there has to be a process where, people are allowed to stay in this particular country and have an orderly fashion for them, give them the protection that they need so that they feel comfortable enough. Most people don't want to stay in this country. They really want to go back.